The insanity never ends, my friends. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. We got so many things as usual to get into. We got Star Wars and how they just stepped in it. Disney, of course, we're going to get into that. We got McDonald's a little bit again. Actually, some new stuff on that. We have this huge story of pastors in a secret meeting with government officials for disclosure of UFOs. And actually, there's a lot of craziness. People talking about this now on various social media, including X. And we got all the latest on this. We got the details. I figured out what's going on, I think. Because I don't think it's as simple as it looks. And you're going to see it as we get into it. It's pretty crazy. And we're going to talk about a ton of other stuff as well. We got some other kind of funny videos. We got the last lady to get arrested at Spirit Airlines and... I don't know, let's just get going here. We'll start with Star Wars. Star Wars, of course. Disney to remove Star Wars Sequel Trilogy from timeline to resume focus on original characters. If true, this would be one of the most dramatic franchise shifts in modern Hollywood history. Probably because no one likes the Sequel Trilogy as much, I mean, not even remotely as much as the original. A lot of people were completely disappointed with what Disney did to Star Wars. You did have a couple shows that did well. Andor, Mandalorian. I like both of them, actually. But they're nothing compared to the original, as this lady here says. They're just good standalone stories that were run through the Star Wars harness. People might like them, but they don't really scratch the actual OG Star Wars itch. And, of course, the other sequel trilogy was complete garbage. Well, I wouldn't say it's complete garbage, but it was okay, but it wasn't nearly as good as the original. Right? So now they just came out with a new Mandalorian movie, and of course, they're not expecting a lot out of it, apparently, even though I liked Mandalorian. It was pretty cool. I might actually go see the movie in the theater, but it's nothing compared to the original OG, right?
How many Star Wars movies are announced and killed this past decade? And the one they finally make is Mandalorian and Grogu. Tough focus group on Star Wars as 5, 17, and 18-year-olds show no interest. How are you feeling about Star Wars? I like the old stuff, but the new stuff, nah, I'm not too excited for The Mandalorian. I've never watched it. Anything that came out after I was born isn't that. They're so based. Anything that came out after I would...
Of course, they said they liked Andor. I think Andor was pretty good, actually. I watched more... I watched both Mandalorian and Andor. They were both really pretty good, man. For a TV show. For a TV show, they're not movie quality. They're not the same as the original Star Wars. But the fact that Disney has finally admitted defeat. They finally admitted they completely and utterly screwed the entire thing up. I mean, with Luke Skywalker throwing a saber after he got it, just shows you where they took the entire franchise. Luke Skywalker was a hollow shell of himself, not even remotely anything like the original guy from the original Star Wars trilogy. Anyway, you got that there. You got McDonald's. And we've had a lot of fun with McDonald's of recent. You had the CEO attempting to eat food from his own restaurant, failing miserably, of course. He tried to eat a burger, and it looked like he wiped it away with the napkin. And then he was eating a chicken nugget, and he's like trying to smile while eating it. And you could just tell he's faking the whole thing. It's so hilarious to watch. Of course, now apparently they're eliminating self-serve soda stations, which I already mentioned on a previous video. But I noticed, I saw this over on Osmongold's channel, how they cited changing consumer habits. And there's a lot of really funny tweets underneath this, where people are talking about what kind of consumer habits they might be referring to. Like, for example, here you have someone saying they need this guy. Modern problems require modern solutions. Taco Bell worker fires, a gun at apparently customers after they tried to fill a water cup with soda. Because apparently this is very common amongst certain people. Okay, they like to take free soda. This might be why they're getting rid of these machines out in the area where everyone can get soda. You can see here, this is Bruce Willis. If you remember that movie where it said something a little bit different on it than I hate changing consumer habits. But anyway, you get the idea. Let's play this real quick.
Isn't it crazy, bro? We are literally allowing our entire culture, our world, our lives to be run like a minimum security prison because we don't put 2% of people in maximum security prisons.
Yeah, 100%,
you know what?
dude. It is so true, actually. I mean, I remember going to a Subway in the wrong side of town, and they had bulletproof glass up. They have like a little hole like the banks do, and you're like shoving the Subway sandwich through. It's like squishing it while it's going through. And I'm like, dude, really? You got to have bulletproof glass on a Subway? And I went to the gas station next door, and I was like, why do they got bulletproof glass on the Subway? What the hell is this? Who's going to steal sandwiches? Like, what is this garbage? He's like, yeah, they literally get robbed almost every day. They're like, every freaking day, someone's going in there robbing the Subway. I'm like, oh, okay, that explains it. Of course, then you had Chase Bank, who tries to pretend to be neutral. They just started putting up bulletproof glass on every single bank. Well, they started out in the not so savory neighborhoods, but then they're like, oh, we can't look like we're racist. Let's just put it up everywhere. So they put up bulletproof glass on every single bank. It just, it's ridiculous. Anyway, we're going to get into a ton of stuff. We're just barely getting started. First of all, I'm going to mention Food Supply, 25-year shelf life. Link is in the description. You definitely want to get this if you have not already. They have tons of options available. Go check it out. Link is in the description. Lots of things. Food Supply, various products that you may need in an emergency. What if you have a mostly peaceful protest in your city? Whatever it might be. Aliens, we're going to talk about that as well. Whatever it might be, you might want to be prepared for whatever's next. Go check it out. Link is in the description. $20 to as high as $3,000 if you want to buy a year's worth of food. This book here, Lost Ways, How Your Great-Great-Grandfather Lived Without Electricity. $37, get the printed version. What if you have an extended period of time without power? You've seen all the insanity over the last so many years. It's wise to be prepared for whatever is next. Go check out all my other social media link below. Our investment opportunity with Noah VR. All that stuff's linked below. Let's get back to the video. So we have here this story about pastors in a secret meeting with government officials being told to prepare their congregants for what's going to come out. And of course, the president's been talking about releasing these UFO files. And I covered it yesterday. It's still going viral on my main channel, or it's not. Well, it's starting to go viral on my main channel. God rules. And what's interesting about it is I'm starting to learn a lot more of what's going on with this whole situation. So this is definitely an update to my video from yesterday. It's been a full day. I've really been able to soak in what everyone's saying. I'm starting to figure out the pattern of what really is going on here. And so it's kind of interesting. So I do believe there was this meeting. Okay, there are people out there now saying, oh, it's just a bunch of Pentecostal pastors. Oh, it's just these evangelicals like this. And you got people like Mike Winger coming out saying, oh, it's just these guys. It's just them. They're making it up. I don't think they're making up this meeting. I think it did happen. I don't think it's, I think it got framed in a way that sounded very, very surprising and crazy sounding. So I think that's what made it sort of propel up to the viral status it got to. When in reality, I think it wasn't as, fantastical as it sounded. I think it was just a meeting telling them you got to get prepared. There's going to be this disclosure. I think then some people have kind of added to it a little bit more than it really was. And what's really going on here, though, is I think you have two. So this is a completely different angle that no one's thinking about. Because right now, everybody's like just fighting over, did this happen? Is this real? Okay, did this really happen, this meeting? I'm beyond that now. I think it did happen. I do think it's kind of got like hyped a little bit, I guess you would say. But what I think is really going on here is something no one else is seeing yet. Let me show you this. And it's going to be a little weird. So here you have Obama coming out the next day. Says UFO disclosure won't happen. Government is terrible at keeping secrets. He was on Stephen Colbert's show or interview or whatever this was. On May 5th, yesterday, okay, saying basically it isn't going to happen. So this is kind of weird. You're like, what? It's not, our president says it's going to happen. Obama's saying it's not going to happen. You're like, well, am I missing something here? Like one's saying he's going to do it. The other one says it's not going to happen. What? So it sounds weird at first glance. You're like, what? But it will make sense as I get into it. You'll start to make sense. Then you got David Grush. UFO disclosure will escalate in the next 60 to 90 days. He is a Air Force pilot. It's not this guy right here. He's the interviewer. The interviewee is this guy, David Grush. He is the Air Force pilot that had seen UAPs, UFOs, as he was flying. I think he's the one that testified in front of Congress. And he's talking about in the next 60 to 90 days, it will escalate. Grush reveals UFO disclosure plan is going to escalate fast. I do have confidence that it's going to escalate in the next 60 to 90 days. So, okay, you get that, right? So you have one president or a current president saying it's going to be released. You have an ex-former president saying it's not going to be released. You have this guy saying it's going to escalate in the next 60 to 90 days. This sounds kind of weird. All the stuff kind of doesn't make sense yet. It's going to start making sense as I go into this more. UFO whistleblower David Grush says key government officials working on UFO disclosure have been victim of Havana, syndrome type of attacks. We talked about that, was it an Amy Eskridge lady? That happened to her back in 2022. I've seen anomalous health incidents happen to key government officials helping me. So let me explain. Now this starts to paint a little bit of a picture. You have Obama saying it's not going to happen. You have Trump saying it is going to happen. You have people in the government. This is going back to the missing scientists and the dead scientists. And you have people being, of course, attacked. You see this? So what does it tell you? Let's paint a picture here. We have one side, Obama, saying it's not going to happen. Maybe because they don't want it to happen. And they're trying to stop it from happening. Does that make sense? Then you got our current president saying it's going to happen. You see, there's two sides of the GOV fighting over this topic. One doesn't want it released. One does want it released. Although the one that wants it released, I don't think he wants it fully released. Because I'm seeing some patterns there as well. So one doesn't want anything released, Obama, or very, very little released. The other one, our current president, wants some released, but I don't think it's all of it. Because I showed how the DOJ is refusing to look into any of these scientists' deaths and disappearances. They don't care. Oh, it's just arbitrary, random incidents, nothing related whatsoever, nothing. So you can see a little bit of a pattern here. You see the pattern now? Let's play a little bit of this clip here, and we're going to get into a ton of stuff. We're just getting started. We're going to play Joe Rogan, and we're going to play Danny Jones. Check this out. Let's play this real quick.
I've seen anomalous health incidents happen to key government officials helping me. Akin to, I know you had Catherine Herridge on a few months ago, and obviously 60 Minutes to the
So that's interesting. So there's multiple, and this one was on 60 Minutes. Okay.
piece based on her work back in March. And I've even seen that, which is disgusting and sick.
So you can see right now, there's numerous people being, of course, hindered from talking about this that have direct knowledge. And you had David, Wilcock die. You had numerous people die or disappear who would have lots of information, be privy on what's going on in this realm, right? So clearly one side definitely doesn't want this information getting out at all. The other side seems to only want a little bit to get out. Okay. Now, I don't think I'm on my other video, I was saying kind of like, I think they're going to say something about aliens created us. I don't think they're going to say that. When they do this UFO disclosure in the upcoming days, our president, I don't think they're going to say that. I think they're going to release very little information. Although he did say some of these representatives and officials have said from our president's side that it's going to be kind of unnerving. So there's going to be a little bit of this. And I think I know what that little bit is. I don't think it's going to be them saying directly they created us. There may be some implying of that, but I don't think that's what they're going to say. I think what they're going to say is they're going to try to paint this worldview like there are several species of aliens. We know it for a fact, and it's true. How are you going to deal with this biblically is what I think it comes back to. So this is what I think they're going to say. You can see that on this Danny Jones podcast, which I played over on my other channel yesterday. And let's just play a little bit of this real quick, and you'll see what I'm getting at. So I think this guy, let's just play it, and then I'll comment a little bit.
It's been made pretty clear to me that we're not dealing with one non-human intelligent life, that we're dealing with multiple forms of intelligent life from multiple origins. And, essentially the universe is full of life. And
so extraterrestrials.
I think all things are on the table. I think it could be extraterrestrials, and I think this concept of interdimensional beings, as fantastical as that sounds.
So he's saying here he doesn't really know. You see how he said it could be extraterrestrial, it could be ultra-terrestrial. We don't, he's just he said he interviewed a bunch of people. Interviewed 30 plus military and intelligence officials while making his film Age of Disclosure. They all told him the same thing about the existence of alien life, that there's multiple species. So he knows some specifics, multiple species. What are they? Apparently he's not answering that question very specifically, is he? He's pretty vague about it. Aliens, demons, I don't know what they are, whatever they are, kind of like that, right? So I think what they're going to try to do is they're going to release only a little bit of information, but some of it's going to be not so much proof of aliens, but more so like them just saying, look, there's multiple species of aliens. They're going to provide maybe some proof, I'm guessing. And then they're going to say that, how do you tie this in with your worldview? How are you going to tie this in, right? And that's what I think they're going to do. I don't think they're going to say that they made us, although one guy was implying that, and I covered that in my other video. One of these guys that went to the secret meeting was implying that they're going to say this. I don't think they're going to say this. And it wasn't this guy. It wasn't Joseph. It wasn't him. It was some other guy. Who was it? I got him around here somewhere. Yeah, this guy. This guy implied that they're going to say that they literally created us. I don't think they're going to say that. Okay, he's already said, look, some people misunderstood what I said in this video. He said something to the effect of like, the way I didn't pause between my words, it made people think that I was saying literally this representative said that they're going to say this. He said that's what he thinks they're going to say. I don't think they're going to say that. Okay, so this guy's already kind of had to make a correction, like apparently people misunderstood what he was saying. So now, of course, all those who don't believe in miracles, who don't believe in UFOs, that are in the church, they're all coming out saying, look, see, I told you so. They're just a bunch of crackpots, right? So that's what's already happening. You got Mike Winger, who's well known for going after charismatics. Apparently some of these people are charismatics. I think most of them are, not all of them. But so this guy's already going after them all, which is kind of interesting. So they're all getting stuck on that. But in reality, I think it's going to come down to, in the end, it's going to be, this happened back at the end of February. They said you got to get your people ready for whatever's going to be released. It's clearly going to be more than just a little bit of evidence of UFOs. They're going to probably imply some stuff like there's multiple species. How do you explain this in the Bible? Maybe something like that. They are going to say something rather curious when they do this release soon here, because our president said he's going to do a release. But I do think ultimately they are going to try to say something like this, because we had here Bob Lazar so many years ago talking about this as well, that there'll be some sort of disclosure, perhaps not the one coming up soon here, but perhaps as time goes on, they're going to try to slowly bring these type of things out. There'll be this alleged highly classified religious document which states that Jesus and two other prophets-like figures were genetically engineered by extraterrestrials or ultra-terrestrials and implanted within people in biblical times. This is what he mentioned one time on an interview. Let's play this really quick. Check it out.
Yeah, the only hardcore thing is that there is an extremely classified document dealing with religion, and it's about that thick. Period. But why would there be any classified material dealing with religion?
I want to go back to the religion thing. I want you to say it.
Oh, come on, that's so weird. That's a lot.
I'm not asking you to say what you believe to be a fact. I'm asking you to say what you read in a report that that is distributed at what may be the most top secret facility in the world. Okay. All right.
All right, I'll say it. It's so far out.
All right, your objection has been noted.
Okay.
What does it say?
So obviously it's going to be what we just read a minute ago.
That we're containers. That's how supposedly the aliens look at us. That we are nothing but containers.
Containers of?
Containers. Maybe containers of souls. You can come up with whatever theory you want, but we're containers, and that's how we're mentioned in the documents. That religion was specifically created so we have some rules and regulations for the sole purpose of not damaging the containers.
The souls. Meaning,
well, the souls or the bodies, whatever. Right? That's
meaning like we're containers for souls that they're going to use at some other point.
Right.
So that sounds kind of spiritual, don't it? Sounds like something that wants to use, of course, you. Sounds kind of demonic, satanic. Obviously, they're going to tell you that Jesus was engineered genetically. I mean, it makes sense they would say that because that's what they were doing in the days of Noah, was making genetic hybrids. So they're going to try to spin it and say it the exact opposite direction. I did find this curious down here when someone pointed out some of these interesting drawings and the medieval pictures around the crucifixion. And again, this doesn't prove what people think it proves. In reality, aliens are, I think, a form of hybrid, that angels also have vehicles like this. We have the Ezekiel's wheel in, obviously, Ezekiel, that this concept of spiritual beings that we've been taught in church that they're just spirits is not accurate. They're physical beings that are interdimensional. This is why you see in the Old Testament an angel will physically manifest. They eat with you and you didn't know it. Angels unawares is in the New Testament. That clearly indicates they're physical beings, or can make themselves into physical form, back to spiritual form, interdimensional. Perhaps their ships are as well. And this whole idea of separating science and religion over the last couple hundred years has caused people to believe things incorrectly about angels and science, and separate science from religion like they're completely diametrically opposed when they are not. So this is kind of what I'm thinking that is being done here. And this leads into what I really think this is all about. I just saw this tweet over on Jay Dyer. This is from 10 years ago. He just tweeted out how he tweeted this 10 years ago about Arthur C. Clarke, the Brookings Institute, and what they were saying about Christianity and UFOs. He says here in this, he highlights these passages. Fundamentalist Christians, he pointed out, did the same thing when they automatically attributed all UFO phenomena to demonic activity. In 1960, Brookings Institute study commissioned stated that the effect of the discovery of extraterrestrial life on fundamentalists of all religious traditions would be electrifying. It would have potentially far-reaching consequences, especially in the societies where fundamentalists were a powerful social force. Science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke felt that the doctrine of incarnation in particular was a ticking time bomb for all Christianity. As one psychologist in the UFO community observed, perhaps in some ways the long battle against the UFO cover-up was not really about the public's right to know as much as it was about the public's right not to know. Not only would the idea of the incarnation itself have to come under review, as one investigator pointed out, the whole Christian idea of God's plan of salvation would be severely problematized. So what he's trying to say is that, or what are you going to do? Preach the gospel to every planet? It does say to every creature. And actually, there is some weird caveats to this. Obviously, it's referring to humans, right? Preach the gospel to humans. But there is the fact, if you look in the medieval times, you had Merlin the magician, who was allegedly born from a demon and a human, okay? And he, because he was seeking after God so strongly, was converted to fully human. And there's other stories also in the medieval times of communities that were hybrids, or there's something wrong with them, like they were vampires or wolves or whatever, or werewolves, because they had stories like this where they would actually be converted to fully human in some strange stories like this. I'm not saying these are true. I don't know much about this. I've looked into it a little bit, but it just makes me wonder if perhaps in some cases these beings that are hybrids could actually become fully human if they're seeking after God and could be saved. I don't know. Now, again, like I'm saying, with these aliens, I don't think they're human. I do think they're hybrids. I do believe they're demons. Demons are hybrid species or spirits. And so my whole thought is that they are going to try to deceive us into thinking they're from other planets, but everyone's already seeing that they are likely interdimensional. And what the devil did is he separated science and religion like this. Here is reality. The devil got into the church and to the world, and he split science over here, skewed it with its mythology like macroevolution, split and skewed the church by saying, oh, angels are just spirits. They're not physical beings, when in reality they are physical beings. This is how we had the giants created, the hybrids. In the first place, it's because they mated with humans. It's kind of like lions and tigers. They can mate, they can make a liger, and it will grow gigantic, just like these giants from the angels and humans mating together. So the whole point is that they are physical beings. You can see it right in Scripture. They eat with Abraham or something like this. There's a lot of stories of angels. You may have entertained angels unawares in Scripture, New Testament, clearly referring to them as being physical beings, showing themselves as a human. Obviously, they can't do that unless they are physical beings. The point is that this is all part of the deception. This is the entire point. You can also see it with these scientists, the same pattern. Stephen Hawking went to, of course, the island. Lawrence Krauss, best buddies with Jeffrey. You have Richard Dawkins in pictures seated with Jeffrey. You have all these scientists hanging out with him. I wonder why. You had Stanley Pons, had his funding cut in Congress, literally written in the emails, saying that Jeffrey said, I killed his funding. He was the one who created cold fusion to work. You have lots of these stories. Very obviously, science is, of course, controlled, not rocket science. And this would make perfect sense. And if you look at that movie, they literally have the devil as the alien. This is Arthur C. Clarke's book he wrote in 1950-something. And the movie or miniseries was in 2015. Okay? So very obviously, this is them telling you the quiet part out loud. No, we're just deceiving you. It's not really science, bro. It's devil, bro. See what I'm getting at? Very obviously, they're telling you the aliens what they really are in this movie, in this miniseries. Okay? And it was written back in the movie was in 2015, but the story was written in, when was it written? I think it says over here, 1953. And this guy was one of the science bros. He hung out with Carl Sagan, with Stephen Hawking. I remember watching this thing back in the 80s and, oh, look at them. The scientists are talking about our reality. And of course, that was around the time Stephen Hawking's, not too long after that, went to the island. Lawrence Krauss, best buddies with Jeffrey, thousands of emails back and forth. It's like super obvious you can't trust the science, bro, when it has to do with these type of people. You can trust the science when it's real. That's when you can trust the science. But anyway, you get the idea. I think there's one side of the government trying to stop it. That's why you got all this weird stuff going on and disappearances of scientists. I think the other side wants to let some of it out, but not all of it. And that's kind of my whole analysis of the situation. It does sound kind of like what our president would do. He releases files, but he doesn't release all the files. He doesn't release everything on it. He did that with the island too. He released the files, but he didn't really prosecute anybody yet, which is really disappointing. So that's kind of my whole thing is that I don't think they're going to release everything. That's for sure. Anyway, so there's that topic there. I guess we'll hit on it more once more information comes out. I'm sure they're going to be fighting. They're going to be fighting for a week on this. It's really dumb. And this is what I don't like, to get in this goofy drama, the church drama. You got the Mike Wingers and the Protestant bros that are like Calvinists, like over there, that don't really believe in or question miracles. Then you got the charismatics or Pentecostals over here. Then you got the Ortho bros and the Catholic bros. They're all going to be fighting over dumb stuff like this. That completely is irrelevant, actually. It's going to be very obvious in the end. It's going to be, there was a meeting, got hyped up a little bit more than it was. That's it. All right. I think there are, but the really important thing is to see that there are people trying to actively stop any information coming out. That's why these scientists are disappearing. I think that's the most important part about this, is understanding that, and then also understanding that they're definitely not going to tell us everything. At any rate, that's my video. Kind of wonder what some of you guys think about all these things we were talking about. Let me know in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.